What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Tuesday Morning Quarterback. I'm Brandon Kramer, here with the always reliable Brian DeGennaro, and special guest, the legendary, reigning Unhinged Trivia Champion, Paraskevas Xenophontos. How you doing, guys?
I'm good, man, but did you just call Brian reliable? This guy's always tardy, man.
I mean, he's as reliable as Daniel Jones, which
Can we be honest? I don't remember the last time that I was late for recording. Like, honestly. I know I was at one point, but it's been a long
At one point?
long time. Pat can attest to that.
The COVID era, you were always the tardy one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Nah.
Yeah. So today we got Para, who is a Patriots fan, so we thought,
Boo!
why not?
We just brought him on to boo him, so let's all root boo. Boo!
Cool. You having fun, Brian? You having fun?
Yeah, I feel better now. Let's go.
So, we all thought, why not talk about what's been going around the news lately with the Patriots falling to, I believe it was 2-5.
Mm-hmm.
And now the conversations of Brady and Belichick have started to kind of come up again. Did Brady make Belichick, and what's going on in between? So let Para, I want to hear your thoughts about the Patriots right now first.
No one wants to hear his thoughts on the Patriots.
You're a Jets fan, shush.
How's Tyreek Hill doing, buddy?
Fine, I don't care. Let's tank. I want to get Trevor Lawrence. Let's go.
With what coach are you going to use him with?
Someone
Adam Gase?
new. It's not going to be Gase. If it's Gase, I'm never watching this team again. But anyway, please proceed.
But if you're really looking at the Patriots, what their offense brings right now is the same offense Brady was dealt with last year. So if you saw the wild card game, you saw them struggle. So with Cam Newton, he gave you 3 strong games in the beginning. Like they lost in a nail biter against the Seahawks in game 3. But ever since he came back from COVID, he looked strong yesterday. It's just a majority of the defense we had last year, a lot of them signed free agency. So we lost 2 guys to the Dolphins, etc. But there was a big comment Bill Belichick made today in the news. And he said, there's nothing we can work with because we're using a bunch of our young guys. And when we hit the salary cap. So I don't know if that's his way of saying I give up. So let us tank for a top 10 pick. But there's also another discussion today I heard from First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. And is Bill Belichick one of the most overrated coaches in football? And the answer is no.
Well, he is one of the most cheating coaches in football, that's for sure. But
no comment. You have every right to criticize him.
I mean, 8 times, so yeah, I think I have every right.
For me, there's 2 sides because you have what he did defensively with the Giants first, and then, but also with the Patriots. A lot of people, he doesn't run that offense at all. I mean, if you just look at the defense and everything, I mean, I think the main reason they won the Super Bowl against the Rams was because they literally shut them down. Because I watched a YouTube video on it, and it was like they shut down Todd Gurley, which was the main part, then stopped the play action. I mean, but with the offense, he has absolutely no, I would say, touch on it. So I think it's just kind of pick and choose.
And then earlier, a couple of weeks ago, they were looking to trade Stephen Gilmore. So basically, it's at the, like he said, I'm paying Cam Newton $1 million. That's what I'm working with right now. He's relying on all these young guys. And then I believe the oldest guy on the offense we have is Julian Edelman. The guy's like 34 years old, and he's been on and off the injury list in the last couple of weeks. But you kind of expected this. Like a lot of people expected them to have a somewhat of a successful season, but right now the division between the Bills and the Dolphins, the Jets and the Patriots are in 3rd and 4th place. So,
well, I'll say this: I don't think the Patriots would be doing any better if Tom Brady were the quarterback. I know Cam's had his struggles and stuff, but the team isn't as good around him. And I mean, like we saw the Cam played really well it was the first 2 or 3 weeks, and he looked really good, and we thought he was going to come back. And just like you said, since he came back from COVID, he just hasn't been the same. So I mean, you got to hope that he regains something, because I feel like even Cam, not at his best, is still an upgrade over Brady. So just because Brady's not because Brady's a bad quarterback, but just because he's older and he's sort of at the end of his rope. But so yeah, I think that you can't really expect that much out of this team. You can't really put it all on Bill Belichick because the team really has, like you said, they lost a bunch of guys to free agency. The team just isn't as good. Even last year, they ran through an easy AFC East,
100%.
and then failed in the playoffs miserably. So they weren't a great team last year, and then they lost some really good pieces. So I don't think that you can blame Belichick for that.
I mean, if you really look at that wild card game, it looked like Brady gave up, especially on that last drive where he gave up the interception. He was like, "I'm done." It's like
I think he was just done with the Patriots, man. He wanted to get out so bad.
I think he's wanted to get out since he's been wanting to get out for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but
that's why they traded Jimmy G and everything. And Jimmy G's now he's an injury-prone joke with the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, he was never that good anyway. But I mean, Brady last year in the playoffs felt like Garrett Cole in the playoffs last year with the Astros. It just felt like he wanted to get out. Like he just you could see in his press conferences and all of that he wanted to get out. And that's the way it felt with Brady, that he was done being a Patriot.
I mean, with Brady, they never gave him any talent. Like I would say, I think the last big play wide receiver he had was Randy Moss, and that was years ago. They haven't given him. They never gave him someone. I mean, don't get me wrong. Edelman is a great kind of guy. Like he's the kind of the exact wide receiver you think of when you think of the New England Patriots. But in terms of like getting someone, I mean, the last time they tried to get N'Keal Harry, he's turned out to be absolute like a bust, I would say so far. But I mean, he gave him nothing
right now. So
yeah.
I mean, if you really look at it, the last Super Bowl they lost to the Giants. Every big play that Brady's come up with, there were so many drop passes. You had Wes Welker dropping passes. You had who
Asante Samuel dropping the pick.
Even Aaron Hernandez had so many drop passes. How many times did
Brady dropped a pass in the Super Bowl a couple years ago?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But if you really look at it, both Super Bowls in the last 10 years they lost to the NFC East, Rob Gronkowski was in the end zone, and he could have made those catches. But honestly, they lost fair and square. And going back to Brian's little cheating scandal with the Jets and the Patriots, even when they cheated, they still didn't win a championship.
Who, the Patriots or the Jets?
Mm-hmm. The Patriots.
Oh, well, they cheated several times, so who's to say they didn't cheat anymore?
I mean, I'm specifically talking about that year.
So I guess now what I think we should say is, do you think the Patriots would be any different if Tom Brady was still on the team? Because I know there was a reason. One of the reasons he went out is he wanted Gronk back. They didn't want Gronk back. He also wanted Antonio Brown. They didn't want Antonio Brown. That was one of the reasons. Like all the other teams that he wanted to go to in free agency, he was like, I want Antonio Brown and I want Rob Gronkowski. That was his kind of calling, and the Bucs took that. But do you think it would be any different with Brady under the helm this year?
Not really.
Yeah, like I said before, I don't think that Brady would be an upgrade over Cam. Maybe the way he's playing now, the last couple of games, but overall for the season, I don't think that he would have added any additional value.
I mean, the Bucs have a great defense, and when you have that many offense weapons, like you have Mike Evans, you have who else do you have? They just signed Antonio Brown. They also have a bunch of great running backs in Fournette. So honestly, that team was set up for him, especially at his age. He has 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions so far. So
that defense is low-key kind of carrying them because, I mean,
yeah.
Because now you have Mike Evans, but they're now not using Mike Evans as much. Yeah, they're using Gronk more, but Gronk, of course, has looked like he's lost a step. And I might get kind of flamed for this, but yeah, the Bucs are a good team, but in a way, I kind of think there might be quote-unquote pretenders. That defense is no joke. If they're going to go deep into the playoffs, it's going to be on that defense because we all know defense wins championships. But there's like a bunch of other offenses that I would take over them because it just seems like this might sound – sometimes you can have too many weapons because now Mike Evans is not being used as much as he can be used. And, like, of course, they're talking about culture there. Mike Evans already had an issue with not being the feature guy. Now you're bringing Antonio Brown. Who knows what's going on in his head? I mean, Fournette left Jacksonville because he didn't get enough carries. I mean,
if you really look at it, look at the Baltimore Ravens. They have some great wide receivers, but they primarily focus on having Lamar Jackson do all these route plays. They're using more of a mobile quarterback instead of actually using the team. And I think it was Marquise Brown yesterday. He came out and said, "If you go half of us, why aren't you using us?" So it was like a whole
I mean,
big.
I have a whole bone to pick with the Ravens. I mean, this week was the perfect example. You look at when he faces a good defense and is forced to throw the ball, he can't do. I mean, yeah, he can make some good throws, but you can't trust him. I mean,
But that's the problem. Everyone made Lamar Jackson not to be the next Pat Mahomes, but like Pat Mahomes literally does it all. Like he can run, but he also can throw better than anyone in the league. And Lamar Jackson is not that. He was always a run-heavy quarterback. So, like you said, when he has to throw the ball, not great, Bob.
So I guess to end this off, do you think, Para, just with the Patriots this year, that do you think Brady? Who honestly, the question is, who made who, or did they just work extremely well together?
I think they worked extremely well together. Because honestly, Belichick's the one who hired the coaches. So Belichick's the one who helped make that coaching staff, especially on the defense. They had Patricia, and now he's like, let's just put it this way. Every single coach that's left Bill Belichick's coaching staff didn't pan out to be a great head coach. Matt Patricia's still not that
He's
great of a head
fucking
coach.
terrible.
So
Joe Judge.
Judge has been, but I mean, the best one honestly has been Brian Flores. I keep thinking Vrabel was a coach for the Patriots, but he was a player for the Patriots at one point, I believe. But I mean, then we can also talk about the great Bill O'Brien. Texans fans love him. But I mean,
if you really look at it, I think they worked well together. As much as it was a love-hate relationship towards the end, they have a terrible amount of respect for each other. So it's a lot of people call Brady a system quarterback, but I think Brady wanted to continue his career just to prove that he's not a system quarterback. So this is why he's playing with Tampa right now.
Yeah. See, I disagree with you. I think that it was Belichick over Brady because don't get me wrong, Brady is going to go down as one of the greats, but I feel like he never had the talent that like some other quarterbacks had. And yeah, he's really smart and he makes up for it that way. But I feel like if you had plugged in a different quarterback, you still could have had all those championships. Not necessarily any quarterback, but there are other quarterbacks out there that could have replaced Brady. I don't think that there's anyone out there that could have replaced Belichick in that.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
and like you said, he doesn't really run the offense. He's more of a defensive guy. So to say that Brady made Belichick, I don't know. Those teams were always built around the defenses. So I'm gonna go Belichick.
I know you would take Belichick as your coach, Brian. And while the Giants have Joe Judge now, I would of course take Belichick back.
I mean, he did sign and then resigned in one day on a napkin. So
yeah, well, can you blame him?
No.
See this piece of shit organization? Sorry.
On that note, I think that's going to do it for us. Para, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I just hope tonight Daniel Jones does not die at the hand of the Buccaneers defense.